Greetings, all you wild and weirdettes out there in Wild and Weird Radio Land. It's Ron. That's Joe over there. We have quite a few things going on this week, but
a little bit of a busy episode. We're gonna make it through
a little bit. But we've got about we're gonna do one of those 2-hour things where we have the first hour is this and the second hour is this. So the first hour we'll be talking about our subject, and then on the second hour we're gonna be talking back about the latest episode of Paranormal Horizons, which just dropped yesterday for you guys, for the public at large. And we're going to get your questions and answers and look at some of the stuff about that. Looks like it's turned out to be a pretty good episode. People are liking it. Got some questions and feedback on it and whatnot, which is wonderful. But first, let's all just kind of for 1 second think about what the heck is going on out west right now. Because man, what an absolute unbelievable mess.
The Great Fire of LA 2025.
Yeah, absolutely. It's terrible. Absolutely terrible. Unbelievable, no conspiracy theories here. It's just, we wish everyone well and want everybody to get back up and running out there. But, these terrible things do unfortunately happen. And, what are you going to say about it, right?
Yeah, it sucks, man. It, you see these kind of things happen and you got all these loss of property and all this. It always makes me wonder why people choose to live in a desert. But
yeah, I mean, these things happen. It's the same thing with the coast. I mean, they all have their allure, and then bad things happen. But it's why I don't live on the coast. If it wasn't for hurricanes, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be sitting around,
Yeah, I did the whole
snow.
beach living thing, and it was great.
Not
till hurricane season.
Right, exactly. Hurricane season. Can't do that, But the rest of it, yeah, it's great. All right, Joe, welcome everybody in. And
you got it. Donna Ho's in the house. What's going on, Donna? You're the first one in the chat there. What in the world is this?
I don't know what you got.
I don't know. My phone alarm just started going off. I didn't even have an alarm set.
That's
at
weird.
8:05 for some reason. James Nelson, what's going on? Jen, how you doing? Miss Trackway. Spooky Jimothy's here, and look at him.
Oh my gosh!
He brought a super sticker. Jimbo, it's good to see you, man. We've missed you. Power Band Sasquatch is in the house. What's going on, Power Band? Rachel Plower, how are you doing? Hope you're doing well out there and staying warm. It is cold as all get out. You know that we are colder than Minot, North Dakota right now?
Yep.
It's so stinking cold.
Yeah, it's that cold. Yeah, it's cold right now.
Why not? Why not? Because it's cold. That's why. You're really freaking cold. And there's nothing there. Dances with Orbs is here. How you doing, Lisa? Good to see you. John Smirka. Gary Schuler. Good chili. Chili is an understatement, Gary.
Chili, yeah. Chili.
Terry McCullough's in the house. The Puckwudgie Whisperer has returned. How are you doing?
Look at that.
Then we've got Danny Buckner in the house. Damn. Oz in the Woods has arrived. How we doing, Oz? Good to see you. Then we've got Power Band says it's 13 degrees here in northern West Virginia. That is a frigid one. Yeah. That is what we like to call colder than a well digger's butt.
That is cold. That is absolutely ridiculous.
Chris Coots is in the house. Chris Coots is another long time no seer. Good to see you back in the house.
Chris is back.
Nancy White's in the house. Julie Bug. How you doing, Julie Bug? It seems like we have summoned you once again this week. Good to see you. Spookfest's in the house. Anita Allen is here as well, hanging out as usual. Then we've got, let's see. Puckwudgie says it's so weird that there's snow everywhere but here in New England.
It's just strange, right? I mean, it really is.
Yeah, it really is. The West Virginia Watcher Files is here. What's going on?
What's
Hope
up?
to see you soon, by the way. Nikki Bennett's in the house. Good to see you, Nikki. Then we've got Rachel said the kids haven't been to school since before Christmas and we're getting more snow. Yeah. Yeah. My wife's a teacher. Yeah. She went to school for, I think, like 3 days, 2 days, and then has
Yeah.
been off work since.
Yeah.
Then we've got Octopus is in the house. What's going on, Octopus? Good to see you. And who else? Who else? Who else? Eisenwood says fire is a horrible thing. Where are all those people going to live?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's the bad part right there. It's not like, you know, I don't know. You can't really comment on it, to be honest, because it's just like you're not
well,
there, and you can't comprehend it, I guess, unless you've had something like that happen. And
yeah,
thankfully,
it's
we
pretty
haven't.
wild. And I feel really bad for the people who are like the locals there who are
Right.
constantly there. But a vast majority of these large properties that were burned up were movie star properties, and it's just one of their multi-billion-dollar homes. Then let's see, we've got Rob Posey, fire on the left, ice on the right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true.
Squatch Holler, West Virginia. I'm stuck on top of this mountain, can't get off. That was me until today.
Yeah.
I finally got off the mountain today and went to work. We were able to get out. Scott Holbrook's here. What's going on, Scott? Hope
Welcome,
you're staying
Scott.
warm, brother. Then we've got, I think that about catches
So
us up.
go, everybody. All right.
NW Hall's in the house. What's going on, NW?
Okay, good deal.
Hoover's here as well.
Hoover's here. All right, it's a full house. Yeah.
We got a good little cruise.
Well, if we got anybody who's new, make sure you do the whole like sub thing. Hey, everybody, roll
Definitely
that
do the like sub thing. That thing helps us out a whole lot.
roll that ticker and show everybody how who supports the show and how we're here and all that fun stuff.
And this support that you guys show, I'm just going to express to you, one, how it's really important before we start going over the names. We're dealing with an issue right now where we're still working on repairs for Wild and Weird 1. But not just that. We fight this monster week in, week out called the algorithm. Right? And because we don't dedicate ourselves to one genre or the other, we kind of
walk the middle.
Yeah, we throw a really broad net. We catch a lot of stuff, and we don't just sit and run one single pattern every week in, week out. It causes the algorithm to not like us. So it's you guys down here in this scroll ticker that keep this show where it's at and keep it free for everybody. It's what keeps us from having to do, the whole buy us a coffee or Patreon
memberships and all that stuff.
Payroll
Yeah.
or paywalls. Yeah, it keeps you guys from doing that altogether. These folks that are down here on this ticker are extremely important to not just us, but you guys and the mission here at Wild and Weird Radio and beyond, because we work on building gear as well for mounting things and actually doing research, and you guys are part of that. So to get down to brass tacks, the people who support this show that have kept it going for eons and eons to come and free for everyone is the executive producers: Adam Good, L.W. Marshall, Larry Hose, Eyes in the Woods, John Smirka, Richard Minnick, Luke Combs, Teresa of Teresa's Haunted History of the Tri-State, Ada Cox, Nancy White, Scott Holbrook, Lisa, a.k.a. Dances with Orbs, Finding the Trackway, Tommy Swigger, Pat, who is currently working on the Wild and Weird 1, Seth Beans Lamille, Kenny Hess, Small Town Monsters, James Nelson, and all of our amazing super chatters that throw in, whatever the minimums are, the little bits that drive this thing and really fuel the gas pedal, right? Is Dewey the Deucer Edwards, N.W. Hall, Spooky Appalachia, L.R., Guitar Chains Craig, Travis Orednick, Jeffrey Steele, Russ Bailey, Chris Coots, Bigfoot Littlefoot, Terry Summerfield, Sarah Ramsey, Julie Bug, Donna Ho, Angie Breeden, Jen Clower, Jamie Snell, Ike the Fob Daddy Fobber, Ashley Hill of On Wednesdays We Talk Weird, Lotus Flower, Wendy the Pooh Bear, Asher's Creations, Spirit Brothers Paranormal UK, Pat Noble, and that wraps us
and
up.
possibly you.
And
If
yeah,
you grab a super chat or a super sticker or
super
whatever,
sticker. Nancy
uh,
White, ringing
there
it
it
in.
is. There's one right there. See? Boom. Just like that.
Thanks, Nance.
What is
What?
that? What happened?
What?
Oh, that's a steal, right? That was a steal.
Oops. And a bonus.
That's wonderful. So, we do have the goals set. I put that up there for you guys. It's a little something fun that we'll do over here,
See,
and it's ticking away. So it
these
started at 10,
stickers, I'm telling you, these really feed
7.
the engine. We
Yeah, they really
appreciate
every single thing feeds us. So that helps. Trust me right now. So you've got 8 more to go. You've got 2 hours. Let's see if we can hit it. And any denomination is absolutely appreciated. And we will be forever grateful. Let me pull this over because we got some stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we've got
stuff to talk about. There's
it's wordy, it's heavy,
but there's stuff in the news. So let's let's talk about that real fast because there's stuff that was in the news that ain't in the news now, Joe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
You mean drones?
What?
Huh?
What now?
Drones?
What do you mean?
The whole, New Jersey invasion.
I don't remember anything about that. That never happened.
Was that just a fever dream?
I think it was.
Oh man.
Almost like we said that would happen.
Right?
Right.
It's so predictable.
Yeah, it is. It's literally so predictable. It's almost embarrassing. That's how predictable it really is at this point. That's kind of how we thought this would play out. Not really sure what it means because there were multiple scenarios if it played out this way. So we're still watching for that. There's rumblings, that, this just disclosure thing, we're past it. Stop it. Stop saying disclosure. It's over.
Disclosure's happened. They've said there's something there.
This is it.
Tell us what it was.
Right. Exactly.
That's what everybody's really wanting. That's be truthful.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I've heard these rumors, at this point, Lockheed's, got this and they're going to do this. And okay. I mean, at this point, all right. I mean, we heard, recently from this, this crazy news that took place out in Vegas, how that all happened. What was it? Gravitic propulsion, right?
Yep, gravitic propulsion.
Oh, don't worry, people. It's just gravitic propulsion. That's just from us. We created that. Sure, we did. No, we didn't. No, we didn't. And no, it wasn't. So I'm sorry if I just don't. I'm not biting into that lie sandwich. It ain't happening. And this is.
It sounds pretty though.
Oh, it sounds great. It sounds like an episode right out of X-Files.
CR3B. And guys, if you're new here, we're kind of busting chops on some of these things, and it's because we've been doing this for a hot minute, and we come at it from a very serious approach. And whenever we see silliness, we just respond with silliness.
I mean, that's pretty silly,
Gravitic propulsion. All of a sudden, everyone's like, "Oh yeah, that's just gravitic propulsion," and they drop that like that's been part of the lexicon for the last 50 years.
Yeah,
and everybody's just like, "Oh yeah, gravitic propulsion, gravitic propulsion."
That's exactly a great, that's
a gravitic propulsion.
That's what it is. That's all it's always been. It's China and gravitic propulsion, and they have drones that can fly, over top of just the snap of a finger. No, they don't. Taiwan's still there. We're still here.
Squash Holler said, "Didn't y'all hear? It was all projections in the
Oh,
sky."
yeah. Hey, you know what that reminds me of? But we're not going to do that yet. Don't you dare push that button. You wait until the next super chat.
You
That's when
mean
you
this
push that
one?
button. No. Oh, LR. Yeah, that's the button. All right. Anyway,
LR, and for that we thank you, sir.
thank you, LR. That was worth every penny.
Like you said, at least they didn't say weather balloons this time.
Hey, it's true. They didn't say weather balloons this time. They just said something that they wanted you to think already existed, but never has. I mean, not to us. It hasn't existed. So, yeah, make up our own new terminology. Exactly.
We do that. It's called COPS. And, well, what was one of the other ones? Subject A and Subject B.
Subject A and Subject B. Yeah, so we do make up our own terminology because the current terminology and lexicons are absolutely, as you have said multiple times, Joe, broken, shattered beyond belief, and trampled upon by herds of mastodons that are walking through portals that are caused by gravitic propulsion units.
I can get behind that. That seems 100% plausible.
I mean, at this point, it is. So, but there is some truth hidden in between all this nonsense, just like with every lie sandwich, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
We have seen things that move with, I mean, you could say gravitic propulsion, I suppose, at the rate that they're there, they're gone, right? I mean, Bob, let's be real. Bob Lazar probably is the person who came up with the
manipulation of gravity,
right? With the idea of this into the into the whole realm of ufology. It wasn't a hard thinking for anyone to come up with gravitic propulsion. That's what it is, because literally that's what he said.
Well,
gravity amplifiers.
Yeah, gravity manipulation, gravity amplifiers, and it. Somebody just needed to make a new fancy buzzword. $5 word. Gravitic propulsion.
Yeah. Fear. Anyway, so, but there is some truth to this, as I said. We do know that there are these strange lights. They were seen at the same time that these orbs were seen. These drones were seen. These orbs were seen. We've seen them. We have people here in the collective who have seen them. It's one of those.
This is an old throwback joke, LR, and I love you. Al Gore made that right after the internet, right?
Internety thing. That's right. Yes, because Al Gore invented internet. That's an old joke.
Oh, man.
I remember that.
Dances with orbs. Can I get a blessing from our uber talented cult leader? Let's dig it out. Here we
dig it. Ah, yes. It never gets old.
Terry does bring up a good point. The Navy has a patent on it. And in the past, we've talked about this. We've talked about some of these more bizarre patents that are held by different third-party agencies or the government agencies themselves. Yep. All that does is say, like, yeah, it's our idea.
Yeah. If you make it, it's ours.
It's ours.
Yep.
If you figure out how to make it work before we do, it's still ours.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. It's a claimsy. Mine. It's mine. I paid for that paper that says that is my technology now.
Yeah.
You might make it in your basement. You might make it in your laboratory. You might make it wherever. But as soon as it goes public, guess who's going to claim it?
So do you guys think that the email to Shoemate that was on Sean Ryan's show was fake? So I watch Sean Ryan's show a lot.
What do you think, Joe? Do you think it was fake or do you think it was manipulated? Do you think that there was something else going on here?
I think there's something else going on here.
I think that's the better answer.
Because his military record checks out, right? Mm-hmm. ties to Fort Bragg, extensive record. He was on a military reality TV show. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I think it was called Top Soldier or something like that, and they went around and just competed to see who was the best of the best
Right.
within in the enlisted ranks. Um, and this guy was very notable, right? And some of the wording in the email kind of struck me um, a little weird, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Being prior service myself, because he misspelled a couple things that were not things you would misspell, like acronyms,
Mm-hmm.
for example. Um, and so that was kind of weird. That threw up a couple red flags, but I don't know. Like,
Right.
there's much to this story that we have no idea about just because of the sensitive nature of it.
Yeah.
And that's
Yeah.
going to be,
Yeah. I think you're right. I think that this is going to be hid behind a wall for a while.
yeah,
It honestly, minus the tragedy that was involved, reminds me a lot of the whole Majestic 12 papers when they were first sent out. It's kind of like that because everyone argued over, oh, this isn't spelled right. This doesn't look right. This format's wrong. This was made on a typewriter that was, from this year versus that year, that kind of thing. And at times we've seen this. We know that those kind of little, almost red herrings are thrown into these things to make people fight over them, to cause these divisions within some research communities. That's a given tactic over the years. It's been
it's just
used a
another
lot.
psyop.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And Tommy says that the FBI confirmed the email, so it's probably fake. I mean, and in reality, you know how easy it is to confirm an email, like
Yeah.
the metadata. And
That's
yeah, it
real.
was off his phone. Yeah, it was sent from his laptop. Okay, all you got to do, like, you're under a sensitive investigation. Okay, guess what happens to all your personal effects under that sensitive investigation? They belong to Big Daddy G now.
Yeah, right.
So you know how easy that would be to retro act. Anywho.
No, you're right. You're 100% right. And I think that, like I said, there's more at play here. I don't think we'll ever really get the full story on this. I think it's going to fall immediately, and it did. It fell immediately into into the land of conspiracy, into the land of, oh, it's got to be this, it's got to be that, and agenda orientation of these groups. That's what I think anyway.
Men in Black say it was fake, allegedly.
Well, there you go. It's good enough for me. So,
The executive producer, Adam Good, is in the house.
So, how many of you guys did your homework like you were supposed to do?
Yeah.
That's a question.
Plasmoids.
It's time. It's time to go to school. I know you thought you were going to come here and just joke and laugh, but we have to be serious for a few minutes tonight because, first of all, we have Paranormal Horizons, Beyond the Horizon, which will be coming up here at the top of the hour or so. And we're going to have a lot of questions and feedback on that, I'm sure. But because if you didn't see it, it was a really good episode. There was some weird stuff.
It had nothing to do with Bigfoot.
It had nothing to do with Bigfoot. However, it may have had something to do with what we're going to be talking about, right, Joe? Maybe.
Very possibly.
Possibly. I mean, we don't know that. We're just saying maybe.
Just spitballing here.
Yeah.
It could.
It could. So let's first of all look at the topic of the whole plasmoids, because that came up while this whole drone thing started. And the orbs started. Yeah. You started hearing the word plasmoid. Ah, yeah, it's just plasmoids. And people were like, "What?" Most people had no idea what they were even talking about. And some thought, well, plasmoids, that's some kind of alien life that lives in the sky. And we were like, what? But then we looked at it and it's like, they might not be far off.
It's true.
They might not be far off. But for those who don't know, plasmoids, just a really quick briefing on plasmoids. It was until the 1920s that we believe that there was only three states of matter, and that was solid, liquids, and gas, right?
Yep.
And then this guy comes along, Irving Langmuir. He works at G Labs back in the day, I believe, something like that. But he comes up with this experiment, and he pretty much figures out that no, there's this other state of matter. It's called plasma. We know that today.
Yes.
And he goes on with another friend of his. I cannot remember his name right now, but they get together and they kind of work on this thing, and they figure out, well, we can create this in the lab, and so they do. This leads to more researchers in the future,
Yep.
at the time, who basically come along and
And when we
start.
say researchers, we're not just talking about scientists.
No,
We're talking about, you know, UFO folks.
but the name itself came from Winston H. Bostick, and he described plasmoid. That he made the term plasmoid. Okay, so Irving had plasma. That's his, but plasmoid came from Winston H. Bostick, and that was in 1956. Now, it's interesting if you think about that date, Joe. 1956.
Yep.
So, in his exact words, when he described the plasmoids, he said that it is a plasma magnetic entity. A plasmoid is a structure of plasma in magnetic fields that are kind of working together, and they create this toroidal structure of plasma. And he literally used the word entity, Joe.
Yeah, he did. It was right there.
And this is in 1956, bud.
Mm-hmm. Very early on. What was he looking at? Makes you think.
Yeah. So it really is interesting because, what if we, and we've been looking at these lights in the sky for so long, and, thousands and thousands and thousands of years, you know, and what if some of those lights in the sky literally are what this new research paper says? Because the research paper we're referring to now is from Science Research Journal, Modern Physics paper, volume 15, number 11 from October 2024. Joe, you want to talk a little bit about that journal entry?
Well, this journal entry was worked on by Yi Shin Liu of Dartmouth College, a Department of Physics and Astronomy, and Hantao Ji of Princeton Plasma Physics Laboratory in Princeton in the United States. Ben Chen of New Jersey Institute of Technology Center for Solar Terrestrial Research in Edison, New Jersey, and Yi Kui of the Laboratory of Atmospheric and Space Physics in Boulder, Colorado, and Stephen Hewer, University of New Hampshire main campus Physics of Durham and of New Hampshire in the United States. So these were the scientists who were working on this most recent paper, and their work has been absolutely mind-boggling because they
Do you have the name? Do you have the name of the paper, like the full?
Well, I mean, I have the name
title?
of the paper, paper 1719158.
Like the subject title. Do you have that handy?
I can get it real quick.
Yeah, just
It
find
is
that.
three-dimensional plasmoid mediated reconnection and turbulence in Hall of magnetodihydrodynamics.
Yeah, that's it. Magnetohydrodynamics. Yes. So basically, what that is, a big fancy mouthful of words that says these things are possibly they are the product of magnetism and electricity, right?
Yeah, they are, and they were actually, again, we're dealing with something that's being reproduced in a lab. This isn't just observations; these are reproductions from within a lab, and I'm going to show you one of these right now. Right now. Right now. We're going to close it right now.
There.
So, what we're looking at right here, the front pane that you see in the very, very front that looks like a gaseous, plume. That is what was the visible aspects of these plasmids. Okay, I say plasmids because there are two here. You've got one on each end, and you see there was an interaction somewhere in between. However, when you look at the 3D magnetometry, which is basically where they I butchered that word, I'm pretty sure, but I think I got it pretty close. However, what that is they're essentially using magnetics to plot and trace the path of these plasmids in 3D space. And that's what this in the infill box is. That's what all the spaghetti noodles are, essentially. It shows its motion and how these things are intertangled and move around. And if you know how to read these kinds of things, which, Ron and I do some work in 3D space periodically, Ron way more than me. But when it comes to working with slicing and meshing, you can see there is a very dynamic dance happening within this image.
Yeah, it's really crazy because these, like you said, these have been created in labs, and they were created in the labs back in the day too. Like I said, 1929. It was Leon Tonks. That's who it was. It was Leon Tonks who helped Langmuir, and they discovered that exactly what you just showed. They discovered that electron density in waves in the plasma. They also call those waves that you were referring to as Langmuir waves. Now,
yes.
Those they theorized for a while were what we see with St. Elmo's fire, with ball lightning, with these displays of plasma in the atmosphere, and some may be. But this paper goes on to say, wait, not really, because these things are not acting like what we would see, say, ball lightning would act like, right?
Correct.
And right. We also have these things that are much bigger than the lab produced plasmoids, okay? Because lab produced plasmoids were like 1 to like 10 centimeters or something. They're really small. They're not big. But these other things like ball lightning, it's big. It's up to like 30 centimeters or something. I think it's what some of the papers have said. But also, ball lightning is erratic. It enters buildings, it passes through solid objects. These don't really do that. And it does, it doesn't drift around. These plasmoids have this real, they're almost like
they're almost
ghosty.
Organic and have mass.
Yeah. They're very ghosty. Wouldn't you say that's the best word? Because they kind of move with intent is what it seems like.
Yeah. Well, the way the paper phrases it, it says that just to kind of use the actual verbiage, the study showed that single X-line reconnection is less likely to occur in 3D compared to 2D space. Moreover, depending on the Lundquist number and the ratio between the system size and the kinetic scale. Now, kinetic scale, that's where you start talking about energy dispersion.
Right.
You're talking about an object that can actually make contact and have kinetic energy in the moment of contact. Things like ball lightning that pass through solid objects aren't going to have kinetic energy. They're going to have electromagnetic energy, but they're not going to have energy that's going to be able to hit you like a ball. Like, say, if I threw a basketball at you and hit you in the chest, that's kinetic energy, right?
Yeah.
These things express kinetic energy, and it's measured. Okay. And the reason they think that these things don't just operate like in a 2D kind of space and rather in a 3D space is because of the study. This exact study, and they measured these things moving in 3D space, and they weren't just because it's really hard. Like, think about it like this. I've been mulling this in my head, trying to make it. This is kind of like how it goes when you're with me out at a master naturalist class. Okay, I try to make it make sense for the non-sciencey people.
Don't make it like a tree.
Yeah, I'm not going to make it like a tree.
Okay.
So, looking at this thing, it is in the sense of observation. When you look at a star, it looks two-dimensional, right? It just looks like a speck of light. That speck of light, it could be inferred as something like me shooting a laser directly at this wall and seeing the two-dimensional reflection of that laser off the wall. And it's because that surface is two-dimensional, so it renders a two-dimensional view. Obviously, stars are 3-dimensional. So, but visibly, when we look at the sky, it looks like a 2-dimensional plane. For the last, I don't know, up until just before this study began, there was a lot of talk within the plasmoid research that these things might be 2-dimensional, like 2-dimensional objects, essentially. And it's because during their observations, the observations are making are so small, they're like microscopic. They're viewing these things, and they weren't able to discern, a shape, so to speak. However, during these new studies, they were able to determine that these things have a realized, keyword, 3D self-generated reconnection rate, meaning that if you rip it apart, it comes right back together because it has like a memory. And that is extremely wild.
Oh, it's interesting. It's extremely interesting because you've given some kind of a liquid property to
Well, I was getting ready to say, think of it
this.
like working like in a petri dish with
Yeah,
mercury.
yeah, it's exactly what it is. That's
Yeah.
exactly the best analogy. Yes, yes.
So now you take that, you take this, the principle of this idea of working in a petri dish with mercury, but you're now applying it to something that is floating and moving freely within 3-dimensional space and generates light.
Mm-hmm.
And we don't know what else it can do.
No,
we're studying its properties currently.
We don't know what else it can do, but we do know that some of the first ones that were, well, not the first ones, but some of the first stable ones, and I think that was in 2017 when they created the first stable ones. And they created those, by the way, Joe, without any, they created them with water, a chemical, and they shot this at a plate of quartz crystal. Yeah, you heard me right. Quartz crystal. They shot this beam of water, very thin beam of water, thinner than, I think it was like the width of a human hair, something like that, and at an incredible rate of speed, and it created this burst of energy, light at the core, the bottom, which is, theoretically, it's kind of like friction, but the friction was actually causing another, thing to happen, and the piezoelectric effect, et cetera, et cetera. But energy was created. And they found out that their cell phones started doing weird things. So they had no clue that, wait a minute, this thing's generating some kind of radio waves.
Sasquatch Holler says, I'm trying to follow. I feel like I need to raise my hand and ask so many questions.
Please ask questions. No, ask questions.
Away.
This is a very important episode, and it would be great to get everybody up to speed on this, because we are going somewhere with this, and it's going to make sense. Essentially, these things that were created, guys, are balls of energy. That's what we're trying to say. They're little balls of energy. And theoretically, these little tiny lab created balls of energy can be created outside the lab, possibly by nature, as so this paper suggests as well. But the more important thing about this is that these little balls of energy, these little orbs of light, the way that they move and so forth. One doctor suggested that the plasma formations may be able to process information and adapt. Now that's important.
And they, at this point during the study, was when they began to hypothesize the sentience of these plasmoids.
Yep. Dr. Masakuwa Kojima implied that the magnetic fields and the plasma dynamics could give rise to a conscious state. Those are his words, conscious state.
Now, Oz in the Woods says, they say they can create plasma using magnetic fields, but when reading about plasma, I read plasma made of moving particles, electrons, can create a magnetic field. Which comes first? I'm going to say it this way. Plasma that is visible, the plasma that we can see, is different than these plasmoids. Okay, it's totally, it is similar, but different. The plasmoids are like they said, almost sentient. Now, plasma, um, think of it like this: it's everywhere all the time, always. It's energy. It's electrons that are just going crazy, right? When you adjust the magnetic field and then provide some kind of a jolt, and I'll say jolt like an electric shock, but like a some kind of a kinetic energy or a interruption. Then the plasma that is suspended in the air and is energized and moving and going suddenly comes into harmony with itself and begins to become visible. We can see it. That's how those, plasma balls and things like that work. I actually used to play with this. It was really really fun. I used to use a big glass sphere that was full of I think it was rayon, and you could get that thing kicking and be within like certain range of a electromagnetic field, and just take a soft felt hammer and tap the ball, and you would create a donut with inside. It would agitate the electrons within there to create a donut that would just kind of ripple and roll around inside this big glass sphere. It was so cool. But that's essentially how plasma works. It's really really fun, but it's a completely different animal than a plasmid or plasmoid.
Well, I think it is. And I think that that's kind of what they were going for as well, because these things, if they are being created where they say they're being created, we do have to look at the possibility that some UAP definitions, observations, they match.
Well,
These observations
let's
do
talk
match.
about where these things are created and how or how they become
Upper atmosphere.
upper atmospheric disturbances.
And what's interesting is we can't talk too much about this, but we had a conversation earlier last year where we sat across from someone who literally told us that these things are sentient beings and that their space is from ground level to I think it was 80,000 feet or something like that, right at the top of the atmosphere. And I didn't quite understand it at the time what was being said.
Yeah, because he was using terms like they were biological entities, things like
which,
that.
Which, if we look at what this paper suggests later, that these electrical charges in the upper atmosphere could literally create life, and that life could have evolved into some kind of almost an energy being. That's literally what it spells out.
Power band hits it. Living energy.
Living energy. Thank you, power band. That's exactly what we're talking about. And it's not just living, it seems to be able to interact with things. And, the observation that this paper draws with the NASA footage, for example, the tether experiment. A lot of people remember that tether experiment. That was one of the last of the lives. But after that, they stopped doing live, broadcasts. There was delays. During that, they kept saying, "Oh, it's ice crystals," but these things are moving in all different directions. I think the first time I saw that was on sightings back in the day, if that tells you anything. And since then it's been, oh, it's just ice crystals. No, it's not. It's not ice crystals.
Terry asks, how much energy would it require to make one big enough to see? Something like a couple inches in diameter.
More than we can probably safely generate in a lab, I would think.
I.e., don't hug it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because some of these things, you got to remember, they're thinking that they're formed literally at the tops of the upper ionosphere thunderstorms, in that whole range of storm band, right?
Yep.
So
and the energy that it takes,
yeah,
and is created,
yeah,
by these storm systems. You're not just talking about it's created by one bolt of lightning. No, it is created by the full weight and energy of this storm, the kinetic energy that it generates by scraping against the atmosphere and moving its way through, as well as releases of tremendous amounts of energy.
Mm-hmm.
Sasquatch Holler says, so the molecules are free floating and then can come back together like magnets. That is exactly what this paper says.
Yes, that's exactly what they do. They
And
can,
not just like magnets, but they come back. They have memory.
yeah,
They
they can
come
come
back.
together. They can split apart. They can multiply. Yeah, it's a very interesting thing if you really think about it. And they also caution, that we shouldn't anthropomorphize this and try to say that, it could just be magnetic fields interacting and we're putting, these life signatures to it. But at the same time, some of what they're saying, it's almost like
I mean,
that's
I've
wishful
met
thinking.
people that are barely magnetic energy that's moving around,
Right.
and we consider them humans.
Right.
I talk to them on the phone every day.
Right. 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 Right.
So I think we could. And when the scientists themselves were anthropomorphizing them, and they only caught themselves to stop
Yeah,
themselves, and
they
said, "Oh,
did.
we should probably quit doing this because,
Yeah. Yeah.
well, it might not, it could be, but it might not, and we don't know."
Right. They don't want to seem biased, but
Right.
some of their research, does point toward that these things may be a little more than just floating balls of energy that are bouncing off of magnetic fields. They seem to, like I said, be interested in things. They've, for whatever reason, they like to go around aircraft. They like to go over oceans, and that's another theory that it has to do with the water. It has to do with the energy over the water, the salt water. So there's so many ties to this that say, wait a minute, that is so much like some of these UAP that we've been hearing. Like,
Now, Enzo Cirilli says St. Elmo's fire.
yeah, yeah. Some believe that St. Elmo's fire is literally what that's a good example of a plasmoid because they do not just, it'll glow, but it may also move around, right? So it's possible that that's what that is. But I don't know. I don't know. This is not one of those, this is 100% thing. This is a theoretical paper, basically. It shows that these have been created in the lab, and then it goes on to.
Okay. We're going to stop there. This is a little bit more than a theoretical paper, in my opinion, just because of the data, the observables. When you get into observables, you're moving a little bit beyond theoretical, in my opinion. But that's just me.
No, you're right. On some accounts, it's very practical, but there's theoretical data in here as well because they do kind of theorize this whole RNA DNA exchange in the upper atmosphere that could, if true, could definitely prove that this is a sentient being of some sort, right?
Yeah.
If that's the case, and I mean theoretically. It's very much could be the case.
It might be biologic, and star jelly is just its poo.
I mean, we laughed about that, but there might be more to this than, exactly.
But now what? Oh, no.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of self-sustaining. Exactly. It doesn't, how long do they last? No one even talks about that in here. I know the ones created in the lab only lasted like 10 milliseconds or something, but how long do these last? That's the real question.
Right. Enzo says, or asks, sentient or just alive?
Well, if again,
are we talking about the callers that I work with every day, or
no, that's about the orbs. That's a good question, and it really, again, without being able to literally dissect one of these things and understand, look, is this thing alive? We're guessing, and here's a problem with that, right?
The weird thing is, they did kind of. I'm going to bring that image back up. They did, in a kind of way, dissect it.
In sort of a way. Yeah, you're right.
Where it is.
It's there somewhere.
There it is. Found it.
Okay. Yeah. And yeah, you're right. I mean, that's pretty much a multiple cross section over time of what this thing did. And you can see the interplay of the magnetic fields. It's just, it's bizarre. It's really bizarre. But one of the weird things about this paper, Joe, that I thought was interesting was that the author attempted to show relation between these physical observations of plasmoids and went further to explore the possibilities that the ball of energy may be living sentient beings, but he also said that they could be responsible for UFO abduction contact type perceptions
Well,
that witnesses go through.
let's talk about that aspect of what he
Yeah,
said.
yeah, and you know where that's coming from. You that's
100%.
that. Yeah, that's coming from the
This comes
Persinger.
from Wild and Weird Radio circa 2 years ago
Well, yeah, yeah,
when we dissected the CIA release.
yeah. Well, the Persinger's God helmet.
Yeah, you got
That's how
him.
it worked.
Yeah,
It stimulated parts of your brain with, electromagnetics,
and it
and
confirmed electromagnetic energy moving around, interfering with their electronics.
yep. And he says basically, look, I can turn this thing up and I can make you see all these things, and it's not real. It's all hallucinatory. But is it? That's what was our big question. Is it hallucinatory, or is it just a gateway kind of thing? So are these things just, dumb balls of energy, or are they extremely brilliant balls of energy that can interface with us? That is a $1 billion question.
Right. Oz in the Woods says, I have so many questions, but my brain is stuttering because neurons are too excited. Well, what you do is you take a large crystal bowl and you put it over your head and you hit it with a felt hammer and tell me what happens. See
That's
if we
probably
get the plasma donut.
that's it. Plasma donut. Create the plasma donut with inside. Yeah, right. But no, I mean, it's interesting to me because, they did literally try to make the plasmoid in this paper fit the UAP, and not only for UAP, but, like I said, alien abduction, all that.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting in the paper, Joe, is that later on, he actually says, the author of this paper actually says at one point that no, we can't really look at plasmoids as a definitive scapegoat for UAPs, even extraterrestrial life, even though they may be extraterrestrial because they're on terra firma, they're floating in the sky.
Yeah.
But there are other things that suggest that no, we can't just use it as a catch-all. But one of the really cool things, what we got there, Ada. Thank you, Ada. Multiple
Coming in hot.
blessings.
Ada, this one's for you.
Multiple things, multiple blessings and thank yous. But this isn't new stuff. That's what we're trying to get at. Like, it's new to us now, but back in the 50s, this was known. Back in the 40s, it was even known because, Kenneth Arnold even talked about that. He never said that, the craft that he saw were flying saucers. Someone else made that term up.
Someone made that term up.
Right. He believed that they were living energy organisms of some sort. And that's what his years and years of research basically told him, that we were dealing with some kind of, a space or atmospheric being up there that's able to pretty much change shape and whatnot. But he also went into it and said that, he thought that could also be what we are. And that gets really deep and very, very, that's another whole show right there. But this paper very much hypothesizes the fact that we could be dealing with, and this is important, a fourth domain of life. Yep. Now, if that doesn't say that we're looking at a actual alien
life form,
there is not a paper that has ever said it, because that's exactly what we just said. That's what it says. A fourth domain of life.
John Smirka says, aren't ball lightning and solar flares a form of plasmoids?
Solar flares would be a massive amount of plasma.
Yeah.
Ball lightning is plasma, yes. Plasmoids, but not so much.
Ball lightning is plasma in the sense of what we view in the plasma balls.
I actually do have a, hang on, I'll get you a reference here, but the difference between plasmoids and
plasma
lightning, ball lightning.
Tony says, well, you're made of cells that die off on a regular basis, and we last nearly a century in some cases. So how long could a cloud made of individual plasmoids last?
Ooh, that's good, buddy. That's
Infinitely,
good.
because they would almost recharge themselves.
Oh, especially with the powerhouse, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So plasma states both exist as ionized gas and partially or fully ionized particles. Both of these things glow, but plasmoids are typically small. Ball lightning is larger, typically. And the movement, that's the number one thing. The movement and the ability, because I don't think plasmoids have been shown to literally pass through solid material, but I don't know
they
that
have.
for sure.
That's where the kinetic energy buildup comes from, or the
Because they
kinetic
said they were
energy
explosive, right? They could be
yeah,
possibly explosive because of what you just said.
in this in the study that they were using, like these things were bouncing off of the surfaces. That's how they got the measurements that they achieved, and the scan that they achieved was because these things were kind of reacting and bouncing and moving around within a 3-dimensional space that had walls.
Yeah. Yeah. So even though they glow, some of those things may not be like the others, so to speak.
Enzo says it's interesting. Maybe a living creature.
Yes.
That is only barely within our range of perception.
Yeah, exactly. So we can't really even try to understand exactly what, they may be. Only I find it interesting just because, literally this paper came out in October, and
yeah,
it was Dave Roberts is the one.
It came out in October, but it caught traction and made the news in December
because of the orbs and the drones and whatnot. And Dave picked it up and sent it over to us and was like, "Wait a minute,
yep,
wait, why is this not on? Why is not everybody talking about this? Because this paper literally says that it's a fourth domain of life."
There we go, Ron. Here's a new T-shirt idea: plasma donuts with sprinkles.
Oh man, that sounds delicious!
We'll make that happen.
Well, I just want a plasma donut with sprinkles.
I know, that'd be great.
Yeah.
Then can I get sprinkles on my plasma donut?
Right.
I was in the woods. They're talking about an account there. Let's see. Distributed cognition. They work together to form the thought.
It's a collective.
It's like me and you in the truck when we're going down the road.
Yeah.
2 brain cells bouncing around on the inside, forming a single thought.
No, that's literally what they're saying. They're saying that these things work as a collective, and that's what they do. They have a mission, so to speak, and how many it takes, that's what they do. Now, what is their mission?
Plasmoid into the collective image now.
Yeah. So what is their right? Well, maybe it's what the little star is. I don't know.
Or the ghost man.
Or the ghost man.
It's forming a sentient being.
It could be. I don't know. But apparently, some of their missions entail, chasing aircraft for whatever reason. We don't know. But yeah, so the plasmoid thing is very interesting just because we are talking about a possibility that we are dealing with life here. And this is right from the paper. I'm going to read this, and we'll probably tail off into the next part of the show here. But this is
we're getting that hour.
Yeah. But a plasmoid appears to be electrical phenomena attracted to and with some possibility produced by lightning, because they're saying, some of these sprites and elves and dwarfs, all that, those could be a form, blue jets could be a form of these things. It's been hypothesized, though, that dusty plasma in the upper atmosphere may have incorporated all the necessary elements for synthesis of RNA, leading to DNA and thus life itself. Stanley Miller, Harold Urey. In their famous experiment designed to produce life exposed to mixtures of gas, they did it basically, and they're saying, well, if it happened in a lab,
it can happen in space. It can happen in the sky. And Harold Urey, you should really check out some of his other research. I started doing some rabbit trails on some of these guys' work beyond this project, and you will find some very interesting reads. I can guarantee that. They're wordy, but they're fun. Terry McCullough says, but is the plasmoid a form of life or some other form of life using the plasmoid as a sort of probe?
We don't know. That pure, honestly, just pure speculation at this point. Is that just a carrier wave, so to speak? That something hops on and that's what it is. Angie, welcome.
What's going on, Angie?
Is that what we're dealing with? I don't know. Like he even says, that it would be presumptuous to claim that all UAP and UFO are plasma. It even says that right there in the paper. If you go ahead and read it, there's a lot of other things in there about NASA cover-ups too. You might be interested in. I'm not going to go into that. You all can go into that on your leisure. It's a very long paper. Yeah, it's a very long paper. I'll put the link in the description of
They
this.
should already have the link. They're supposed to do their homework.
Well, I'll put it in the description of this episode for them, and that way,
all our big brains together, we can come up with some good stuff. That's right. That's exactly why we do what we do. Squatch Holler.
Yeah,
that for a fact. You've been part of this big, crazy family for how long?
Yeah. So basically, you're all about as smart as plasmoids. So, all right, that's awesome. But no, for real. Let's get it real quick. What do you think at this point? Who can it be now?
Jamie Snell, the man, the legend. Jen Clower is here as well.
Jen?
I don't know about plasma sprinkles, but plasma filled sounds delish. It does. I'm telling you. I'm working on some T-shirt designs that we're going to do.
You're all just making me hungry. I
know. Plasma donuts is now like burning in my brain.
What color do you think a plasma donut would be, Joe?
Oh, so I'm thinking like, the strawberry sprinkle donut.
Yep.
I'm thinking like a more purpley blue feel.
Purpley blue, right? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Yeah, like yellow sprinkles, kind of.
Yeah, like electron sprinkles.
Yeah. Oh man, I wish I had a plasma donut.
Gary Schuler, how long before Joe creates a plasmoid in the workshop? Not very long, because of these. This is another little trinket. This was a gift for my birthday. Some of you might know what these are. Those of you that don't, will probably find out at one of the meetings.
Yeah. In the future, at some of our meetings, you're going to get to see some really cool stuff that you're only going to see at the meetings or in videos in the future. So,
spicy plasmoid donuts, they explode.
They explode. They could. Oh boy. So, let me go over here and let me find the next media clip for us because it's now time for the second part of the show.
Ooh, hey, Enzo brings up a good idea here. Any gas giant or super cloudy Venus type planet could have a sky full of these things.
Yes.
Jupiter,
yes, you're absolutely right.
Occur on Jupiter. Could you
imagine giant ones?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, exactly. And we can do that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we can totally, really think about that and seriously should think about that because when we do, talk about these kind of things, what if, I don't know, how would they communicate? I don't know. How old are they? They could be older than the planet itself, honestly. I mean, we don't know,
Well, think about this, like the formation of a planet, you've got the massive kinetic energy that it takes to generate a planet in the first place. You have all of these wild storms that come into place as atmosphere forms.
Yep.
Imagine the potential.
Exactly. So, yeah. I mean, what we once thought were kind of funny little, sky jellies, they might be real, guys.
Does an exploding plasma donut have star jelly filling? You know it does.
I'll let you know. All right, kids, it's now time that we go far beyond the horizon. So for those who don't know, I'm Ron, that is Joe. We are the creators of Paranormal Horizons over on Small Town Monsters. That is us. We did that. Yay.
People seem to like it.
People do.
And we love you. Thank you.
Seem to dig it. I'm happy with that. I'm glad you're following along in the chapters. It got very strange this past episode.
It did. And it gets stranger.
It gets stranger.
That's just an idea for you guys.
It'll get stranger. Mm-hmm. There were things that took place that, thank you, Joe, that were a little more uncomfortable, I should say, than normal. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with saying that. I think that's a good way to put it.
Well, since that's how you do it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Since Wild Weird One, the main computer is not here, which has all the data on it.
We can only talk about it.
We can only talk about it. So, yeah, we're gonna do that. So, if you
But
guys have any questions, please.
and now we had Larry Bear there with us. Larry Hose was with us on this adventure.
Yeah.
So he can also answer questions out here in the group chat, and
Yep.
we'll definitely throw them up there for you guys. Ada Cox, Oz in the Wood says it was great. Ada Cox says it's a fantastic show. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is a very, very intense episode because there were some implications of things that kept occurring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we can't really get into some of those yet. But this episode, and really just before this episode, we were doing some other experiments, and I don't want to say that we lit the fuse, but it really seems like we lit a fuse.
It was interesting.
And Dawn, for those of you guys who don't know, Dawn has been a witness, and we addressed it in the show, but Dawn has been a witness for us for now 4 years. And she's been sending us reports. I've got a map loaded in her region with flags and lights and different things and different accounts, and Ron has them all backed up on text format. It is unreal, the volume that she has recorded. Right?
Yeah. But, it's also, someone had complained about that on one of the things. Why did we only show what we showed? Because there's so much. And I'm not going to sit here and basically put all these little pinpoints of light, on here to let people argue about what they are. It's sufficient enough just to show a sampling of those. We don't have that much time. We're talking about 3 years worth of data. We're talking about 3 years worth of videos and images. No, none of them were, concise. None of them were clear. No alien came out and smiled for the camera. I'll just put that out there for you right now. But there were some weird things, and there were some weird observations in some of those things. Also, I'll put this out. Why are they so blurry, et cetera, et cetera? Well, first of all, Dawn's a witness. She's not a researcher.
Right.
She had a cell phone.
And it was an older cell phone to begin with.
Yep.
After she started working with this, Ron talked to her and told her what kind of equipment to get started.
Yeah. So she did get her another cell phone. She did get with a better camera. And she's still working on, at this point, getting her some stuff to actually capture data. The incidents have not been the same since that.
Right.
It almost seemed like this was the reason for the whole thing. And that's the weird part. And that plays into future episodes.
It does.
But
you said we've worked with her for years. I'm trying to find you guys a picture. I have these
what are you looking for?
Some of the orbs.
Oh, yeah. Some of the orbs. Yeah,
Yeah.
those were interesting. And to be honest with you, at first we really thought we were going to be able to go and just debunk this whole thing.
Yep.
We thought this was going to be nothing, just be easy. This was just air traffic. We thought that there was, this was a misinterpretation on someone's part that these were just. It was a military exercise,
Yeah.
is what I think you thought it was at first.
Initially, because she was in range
Yeah.
of a full-time active duty National Guard base.
Right.
Now I know some of you guys might National Guard active duty. Yeah. There's real things. They're state workers. They're enlisted, and they're full-time guard. It's just basically a National Guard unit that's operates like a active duty base.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it turns out.
I found them. I'm emailing them to myself now.
Okay. Well, it turns out that just wasn't the case. And, it was pretty easy to validate that, like literally right on the spot. That was one of the first things we did do, was rule out that was going on. The areas was completely wrong.
Yep.
Where these things have been seen, no way that this was air traffic, especially the ones that she had seen in the woodlines.
Yeah.
And then what happened down on the path, I still can't explain.
It was weird.
Yeah. Yeah, it is
weird.
It was weird. It's weird.
So those of you guys who watched the episode, what do you guys think? I know you were saying it was a great episode, this, that, the other, but what do you think of what happened on that game trail?
Yeah. I like this. Someone
definitely lit a fuse and poked the bear.
Yeah, I think so too. One of the comments over there on the page, they said, "I absolutely love the series. NHI was a much more respectful term. Well, it has to be.
Yes.
Also, there are no coincidences, only breadcrumbs."
Right.
And that kind of echoes what Reverend Carter had said.
It does.
In the show itself, in the episode, because we actually brought him on we filled him in what was going on and got his take on a few things. What's Tony say? Great show.
Tony says, great show. I guess I need to buy a certain type of flashlight.
Oh man, right? Now that was weird. There's your synchronicity. She's telling us this. We're interviewing her on the spot, and she's telling this story. And if you catch what's going on, we have, two cameras on Dawn while this is happening. And when she mentions flashlight, my wife, who's over there on camera A, pulls out her phone and starts shooting us, and particularly Joe's reaction, because I'm so glad she did, because it was absolutely priceless. And that had to be put in there, just because we're both standing there like, well, did she just say what I think she said?
Yeah.
And yeah, she did. She did. She said that they shined a flashlight at it and it reacted. And
the specific kind of flashlight that it had a large D-cell battery.
Yeah. The specific type of flashlight. Mm-hmm. And it was really bright. And I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. How can you describe the flashlight? You gotta be kidding me. So that happened. And then of course we had the incident with the trail.
Yep.
Now, I had to cut out a lot of that. We were in the woods there a bit. And
it was almost an hour that we were out there walking around chasing this microwave signal.
Yeah, we chased that microwave signal for about an hour. But it's in time. It's not like, the end's the beginning and edited that way. It's just edited cut, because there's boring spots where we're standing there just looking at a meter trying to figure out which way to go now. But there were points where that meter did things that there's no reason it should have did. The levels of microwave energy that it picked up.
Out of a tree.
Yeah, out of a tree.
Yeah.
And that's in there. But there was more of that, because it was more like, what in the world? This doesn't make sense. This can't happen. This doesn't happen. This meter can't do that. There's no energy coming through that tree. But there was energy somehow coming through or out. I don't even know. Like when we showed it to, to Roni later, and he looks at that and he's just like, no, it doesn't
Yep,
happen like
that
that.
doesn't
Can't
happen.
happen.
It don't work that way.
It don't work that way. I'm like, okay, but it did. And no, that's not what that was. I'm like, okay.
You did not. Yeah, that, that was the best. I love Roni. I'm so glad this show has brought us so many people into our lives. That I'm so thankful that we've had the exchanges
Yeah.
with and been able to build these relationships. So,
Yeah, it's fantastic. It
Dancing
really
with Wolves
is.
says something was just as curious about you as you were it.
Well, that's what it seemed like. This seemed like we were being played with. And,
Oh yeah,
it didn't feel negative. It didn't feel evil, anything like that. But it did feel unsettling. And that's just because all of a sudden it wasn't just chasing a random signature or a signal. It's like, wait a minute, this seems to have intent, and it's trying to lead us.
Dances with Orbs says I learned that Joe and I have the same tell. When the energy gets weird, the giggles come out.
Yeah, 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 that's true. That's 100% true.
That's funny. It's true though. Yeah, dead on.
But yeah. So aside from the encounters that Don talked about, the encounters that Adam shared on there,
Yes.
it's to me it's interesting because I get to hear these stories from these other folks, and telling their stories. I mean, I've had these experiences, not to the extent of, some of the other people, but I have had these experiences, and it's known now. I don't care who knows it. I don't care. I don't go out and, oh, look at me, I was abducted. No, I don't know what it was. I'm not saying that because the data says something happened and it was not hallucinatory. That's all I can tell you. I would much prefer it to be hallucinatory sometimes, but not really, because it makes life more interesting, doesn't it?
It really does. It really
I mean,
does.
it put us where we are. Let's be real. That's what it did. So again, we're not writing the book. The book's writing itself. We're literally
Yeah.
the players in the book. That's what the lesson has been to me through this whole thing. And it's just incredible to be a part of. I'm not even going to underplay that. Some days it's just like, I wonder what this is going to be next. And while we were out there, when that thing tried to lead us down into the woods, and then we saw what happened. The crow, everything got dead silent, and the crow starts calling, and you said your thing, and then we flash back, and I showed what happened to us on a previous episode that never got made.
That Larry also got to be there for.
Yeah, which never got made. And to let you guys know that maybe at some point in the future, who knows? I don't know what's going to happen, but that was an investigation where we were discovering some strange signals.
Yeah.
And there was a little spot in a tree. I'm not making this up.
It was one just spot. It was
an opening.
It was an opening in the tree that went down like 3 feet into a basin.
Yeah.
Like I could have crawled down in there and curled up in a ball. That's how big the void was.
So there's the Keebler elf tree. There was no cookies, but there was EM radiation, and there was other radiation around there too, non-ionizing and ionizing. But when we started talking about the phenomena, and we started, we thought so too at first, but it may have actually been a confirmation as well. But it could have been warning. Yeah. I mean, we thought that. You thought that. You said, is it trying to warn me? It could be that. It could have also been like, this is real. You stop denying it.
Right. It very well could have been that as well.
Yeah. Because sometimes this thing will smack you in the face and it'll make you realize, look, there's more to this.
John asks if the plasmoid is hot enough to excite atoms to visible light levels. Emissions emission stays in the infrared range and you won't see it. If particles speed up in the plasmoid, it's going to give off microwave.
Mm-hmm. Now, John is kind of thinking the way that we were thinking.
Yeah.
In that term. So I think you all see why these two episodes went together.
You're spitballing pretty good there, buddy.
Yeah, no, you're doing good. You're doing good.
Yeah.
You're on the right track. You're on the right track. But again, now it comes down to, are those kind of things are just a vessel?
Yeah.
For some form of consciousness. Is it a vehicle? Not so much just a random ball of energy, but a vehicle, you know. It could be. It honestly could be. I like Jen's question.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jen asked earlier, has Dawn's son ever drawn Big Grandma?
We didn't press that kid, and I'm going to tell you why.
Well,
he's a kid, but I could also, as an experiencer, he's not ready. And you don't have to be an experiencer to understand he's not ready. But if you look at him and talk to him, the way that he behaved, he doesn't want to talk about it. He doesn't want anything to do with it. He wants to be a normal kid. I totally understand, and let him. And at some point in the future, he may decide to tell his story. And if he does, we'll be ears, but we will never, ever poke that kid for any kind of questions. And I seriously advise no one, just leave him alone. He doesn't want to talk about it. I wish he would, but he doesn't want to. That's just how it is.
And it's not something we're going to press.
Heck no. No way.
So Tony said, for a few minutes there, I really expected there to be a scene where Joe and Ron were running from a radioactive bear with the Benny Hill theme music in the background.
Well, Tony, if we ever get, the computer back and capable of rendering out some cool stuff, I'll make sure that gets added as a blooper reel at some point. No. I'll tell you.
I've got some pictures here and a video.
Go ahead.
And no, don't do that. No. Just tried to end the show. Did you see that?
No, I didn't. But it wouldn't surprise me with things going the way they go. It's like, well, y'all are done.
Bye-bye. All right. So this image right here.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the first images that Dawn sent us, okay? Now, Ron, remember when we were there and Dawn said, Joe, I sent you these forever ago.
Yep.
Well, she was right. I found them. They weren't on my phone. They were on Google Drive. That's why I couldn't find them. They were on my drive from way back when. So these images are really high quality versions of what she sent. Okay.
Yeah.
And you can see, look at the geometry there.
I see the geometry. Yep. And that is the same geometry that we also have shown that we've seen now at Wineberry.
Yeah. Beth captured a red square.
Yeah. And I believe, if I'm not wrong, that last season on Skinwalker Ranch, they also had a cube or a square that they captured. It wasn't talked about for some reason. I don't know why. Because
it's beyond me, because it seemed like all of a sudden that they showed the footage and then that was it.
Yep. And the only person talking about,
could have made a whole episode about.
Oh, totally would have, because, up until that point, I'm like, there's something going on. This has to be pixelization. But then we got in there and we blew it up and we could see the individual pixels in the square itself. And it's like, that's not a pixel. There's something inside that sphere that is a square. And then we hear, what's his name? Graves, talking about, the sphere that had the square in it. And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me.
Well, speaking of the sphere with the square.
Yeah.
Here we have what looks like a ball of white light with the square on the inside.
That's right. And, Don looked at this and pareidolia or not, I don't know, but it does look like something standing there behind that thing.
Yeah. You can kind of see the anthropomorphizing of a shape.
I don't know. Like I said, I'm with this stuff. I don't question it anymore. I'm just going to show you guys the stuff and you make up your own mind. But that is, that's whatever she took a picture of. So hold that up there for a bit, Joe. Just let people take a look at that really good. That's one that I wanted to include in the video, and it didn't make the cut. But But yeah, just hopped on. Interesting. Thanks, Mark. Make sure you're
Mark, good to see you, brother.
Liking and subscribing and all that stuff.
I watched your live the other night, by the way. It's good stuff. He did a talk on medicine bags. It was great.
I wish I had seen that.
There, you can go back and watch it.
Well, send me the link.
Yeah, it's over. Yeah, I'll send you a link on his Facebook.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah. So Beth says, "Holy crap, that's cool," because it confirms how much stuff that you've taken pictures of.
Right.
It validates that there's someone else out here getting the same kind of pictures.
It is the greatest thing when you get these multiple sites and you get this multiple validation. And, again, it was the same thing as what we saw with, what's his name out there? Tom, when we showed him, the stuff, and he's like, well, that's the kind of stuff we've seen at the ranch. And I'm like, yeah, right. What's going on? I don't know. But yeah, I think it's excited gas around the structure. Yeah, I don't know what it is. Person holding the word.
Thinks it looks like a person holding orb. You can see it.
Well, that's what Don thought originally too, because he's like, "Holy crap! You won't believe what I got a picture of," and that's what she had sent.
Preston, thanks for joining us. If you're new, I recognize you're new because you're the first time I've seen you in the chat, and I memorize these things. Eidetic memory, baby. Preston NV Vlog says, the last guys on A Flash of Beauty, Paranormal Bigfoot, described a Bigfoot turning into an orange square and shooting off into the forest. Yes.
Yep.
Yes. I remember watching that.
I remember that one.
Fascinating.
Yeah. Stan sent it to me. Stan sent that to me and said, you need to watch this. And yeah. And that was before we caught our weird thing in the sky.
It was.
But we had sent these other ones, the thermals.
Yes. Now it's very fascinating. Preston, since you're here, you're talking about Flash of Beauty. You've probably hopefully seen Paranormal Horizons. If you haven't, go check it out over on Small Town Monsters. It's me and him doing weird stuff. And it's fun. But while you're here, go ahead and like and subscribe to us. We really appreciate it. It'd be cool to have you hang around, because if you're watching Flash of Beauty, you're our kind of people anyway.
Right.
So then let's see. Roy Longley, thanks for joining us. Could be a square, be their version of a steering wheel. Anything is really plausible, because there's some of these. I'm going to flip back to that other photo. Like we don't throw much off the table. It's everything goes on the table. Now, if you look at this one, this is the unaltered, non-zoomed photo.
Yeah.
It is square as square gets.
That's pretty square.
Like somebody's up there has like a flood lamp in the sky blasting it down at you.
Yeah, that's pretty square.
But then it gets weird. If it wasn't already weird enough, it gets weird.
Yeah.
This is a completely different night.
Yep.
Totally different event. This sphere that she saw, again, sphere. This one's round. It does have some geometric shape inside, it looks like, but overall, it looks like a sphere. Even zoomed in, it does maintain a sphere-like shape. But she said this was the one that were flashing the lights at. And that it made a whirring sound, like a mechanical hum, and then shot this beam of light down out of the bottom.
That's the blue beam.
And that's the blue beam.
Yeah.
And then this.
No.
Is.
No.
Blue beam.
Don't do it. I knew it.
In any vlogs says, hi guys, my name's I'm gonna say Steve. I'll just go with Steve. And I'm from Preston in Lancashire. And your show's the best on YouTube. I watched it last night. Thank you.
What?
Go back if you've just seen that one episode. Go back and watch some of the other episodes that are on
so many. Thank you.
On Small Town Monsters. But
That's fantastic. That you
yeah.
Yeah, that is fantastic. We did have someone over there who didn't quite understand it a couple hours ago post that they couldn't really get into our methodologies. They didn't understand the methods, and they're sure, they weren't the only one who tried to watch it and had no idea what was going on. Well, you might have been, because most people who did watch it, they kind of understand what we're doing.
Because they've
And
watched the other episodes.
they've watched the other episodes, or they know who we
They've watched
are.
us and been
Yeah,
to our workshops,
we
or because
exactly.
we're not new.
No, we're not new. This has been going on for a while, and our work has been documented for years now. Unlike some of these people who are out there claiming to be researchers and whatever they want to call themselves, social media is full of them. We've been doing this for a very, very, very long time, and it's just I'm happy that it finally paid off, and it didn't pay off with like, oh, look, we made millions of dollars. No, we didn't, because you're giving us $4 and $5 every now and again. Believe me, that keeps the lights on around here for this stuff.
Lights on this stuff.
No, it paid off in a way that we wanted to always, always, always have wanted to share the data, get it out there for people, let them see it, and let them make up their own minds. That's all it was about, and we got to do that, and STM made that possible, and I will always be grateful for that.
And put it out there in a grander scale, because we had been making videos previously of our own, and STM decided to give us a shot on their platform and catapulted us out in front of a bunch of people, and it's been fantastic. Enzo says, when it comes to things like this, I always reflect back on Sagan's Cosmos, where he's showing a 2D entity, or how a 2D entity would visualize a 3D object. We've done this exact demonstration at so many of our lectures. It's not fun. The apple in Flatland is it's so good.
It's an orb.
Yeah,
it's an orb. I mean, that's exactly what it is. We had another over there who said that they could see a Sasquatch's face clearly in a tree in the bark. I don't know. They gave us the timestamp. I haven't gone back and quite looked at it. I don't have the masters right now, so I can't. But here's the thing.
We'll give it a go.
We'll look at it. But usually it's pareidolia. But you never know. I mean, with some of the weird stuff we've seen at this point, I'm not ruling anything out. Honestly, I don't.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I just don't. I don't think there was anything Sasquatch about this. That's what I was going to say.
Other than the thumbnail,
right?
Mark says Native American spirituality is often expressed in circles, spheres, and four-cornered symbols.
That's right.
Can't wait for us to sit down. I can't wait to sit down with you either, man. It's going to be such a good.
That's absolutely the truth. There's symbology in all of this, as far as it goes.
Larry says, I'm sure my last words will be, this is getting weird, as I disappear hugging an orb.
Oh, man.
Larry Hose, thank you. You are the man. We very much appreciate it.
That's nice. It's actually approaching about 20,000 views right now. And Mark almost all,
Mark said a spiritual entity kept showing up in the physical. I received a call, went there and traced its path and found it. This thing was almost tracing our path or tracing our path out for us.
So like I said, the video is doing really well. It's at 20,000 right now and climbing, and literally all of the comments are just positive. Even people trying to be helpful again, trying to help us to explain away the 1.6. I appreciate that. I really do, because man, there's got to be an answer, right?
There has to be. And again, if you've watched the show and you've watched this show, you know that we've established protocols for the 1.6. We don't just get a 1.6 and be like aliens. We have to have a hit off of multiple devices before we actually document it, because there is a bunch of 1.6 noise. That's right. The 1.6 bandwidth has it's 999 frequencies because it's 1.6000. And from 1.6 to 1.7, that whole bandwidth in there, all the way up is something.
Yeah, it's something. And someone asked, could it be ham radio operators? No, it can't be. That's a restricted frequency.
Yeah, they wouldn't be operating on that. They'd get
could
could it and find
right? Could it be some kind of cell signals, GPS, things like that? Sure, it could be, but probably where we're at, no. Somewhere else, yeah, maybe. You never. Blessings out to you, Gary. Thank you.
Gary,
but you never know. But we do try to rule those things in or out. If we're in an area where there's waterways, of course, we can say, well, that could be radar, right? Because some radar give off 1.6.
Yeah.
Right?
It is. So the radars that give off 1.6 specifically are
nautical.
They're nautical. They're coming from barges. So if we're near a river, like Ron said, near water, we write it off as that this is we're probably picking up, because you'll also see it in a burst. It'll be boom, heavy, and then fade, and then come back, and there it is again.
Doppler effect. Yeah, Doppler effect. So yeah, so we do look at those things, but one of the weirder things that happened out there, and toward the end, was that dropped audio signal.
Yeah.
And 1.21 gigawatts. Great Scott. So that was good. But we were down there and you saw it, you heard it.
Yeah.
It literally sounds like
it does. Like somebody unplugged it.
Someone pulled the cable out, but you can see the cable is plugged in.
I'm the one that decommissioned all the hardware at the end of the night, and I unplugged it myself manually. But that was after we were done. We'd wrapped. You summoned me. What do you need? Tommy asks, have you ruled out weather? Any connection between 1.6 to weather patterns while you're filming? No. The 1.6 wouldn't. It's a frequency of transmission. Now EMF, yeah, you would detect EMF off a weather pattern. You could even get some what's the EMF? You could get
electrostatic. You're going to get electrostatic. You're going to get magnetic off of a storm, but you're not going to get a 1.6 generation signal off of a storm.
But back to the 1.6, Ron.
Yeah.
When we get it and we have a hit on microwave, or we have a hit with EMF, or we have a hit on thermal, or a hit with night vision, then what?
Well, we have to look at what we had going on at the time. We have to look at other pieces of instrumentation there and see if there's any validations on those as well. And if there is a validation, well, then it gets interesting, doesn't it?
Well, let's go back to this. LR says what I thought it was. It sounded like a guitar cable getting yanked out. Mic cable, guitar cable, yeah. So we received a 1.6 signal. We were getting a microwave signal as well that was leading us by the nose, it felt like. We were also getting some gamma radiation in the field as well. So we have now 3 points. And then our microphone goes out. So I did some research. And I can't remember if this made it in the episode or not. But we did some research.
It did. Yeah, it did.
Okay. So you can actually cancel out radio frequency with microwave frequency. All you have to do is hit a harmonic. Now, there were certain points that microwave frequency was doing this.
It was totally bad. Yeah. Yeah.
and bobbling.
Yeah.
It's possible that something, and it's speculating. I'm speculating here. I'm not saying that this is what happened. I'm speculating.
Yeah.
Something could have been sending a signal at our microphones because it detected a signal. So it started sending a signal out trying to match it and then blocked it.
Pinged it, pinged the location. I mean,
Yeah.
we are literally there, and anything, sure, it's theoretically possible. They could have pinged us right there and followed us.
LR said, Joe, did you wiggle the cable when you tore down to see if it might be a funky jack? Well, we didn't know that it
Oh
happened
no,
until we got
no,
home.
no! It was the next day when
But
I
this,
sat down to edit,
yeah,
and I'm like,
it's a 33 millimeter jack.
thought he was gone.
It's a really, really tight 33 millimeter.
Yeah, and no other episodes were affected, by the way,
And haven't since.
No. And we recorded multiple hours after that with it.
Oh, God,
so,
yeah.
but yeah,
Moving
this is just
and stationary.
that's right. Yeah, yeah. And what's really weird about that is that again, I remember sitting down, putting it on the computer, and I wanted to get that at the end when we're like that 1.6, and then the UAP, it's not there. It's a blank line. I'm like, oh my God, there's no audio. What in the, I'm just flipping out. And I remembered that we had the FASM cam running.
Yeah.
Thank God, because that's where the audio came from.
Ron is the patron saint of audio cleanup.
People get excited when you're out there and you're
chat.
filming, and they have validation. They're very excited, and that's, I had to cut Don down a few times because yeah, there was a lot of, oh, if I whisper they can't hear me, but yeah, we can we can hear we can hear gnats fly by. Trust me, we can hear you. Yeah, but she did okay. It was like I said, this was validation for her. She'd been made fun of for years, and then here was the evidence that said, look, we just caught what you have been describing for years, and we're going to put that out there, and you're going to be able to send links to all those people who made fun of you. And if they want to make fun of you now, they're going to have to do a little bit more work. They're going to have to actually try to explain away what happened. And there are certain things that won't cut it. Hallucinations won't cut it. Weather balloons won't cut it. Aircraft won't cut it. Drones don't cut it. There's something else out there. Go ahead.
So Terry says, have you tried to use a handheld ham radio to tune into the frequency to see if there's something being broadcast? We have not tried that, but we have tuned in a spectrum analyzer.
Yes. The spectrum analyzer has audio out, so you can hear. There's nothing that you would recognize. It's just data.
Noise.
Yeah, noise.
It's like listening to a fax line coming in.
Kind of like that. Yeah.
Just with more static. So Steve says, I think you guys are going to find out at some point in the future that trees have a massive part to play in the currently unexplainable. We may find out that they're somewhat conscious. I actually teach.
Don't get him started. Why did you do this, Preston?
Every year with the West Virginia Division of Natural Resources.
Oh boy.
And I will tell you 100% right now, there's too much science, there's too much data to not say that trees are in some way or another conscious.
Well, I think it has to do with the with mushrooms.
Yes, the mycelial network.
Mycelial network. Yeah. The whole forest is, Gaia theory is real. I mean, it may sound ludicrous, but it's real.
They share sugars and they share nutrients, and they pass along water they'll literally trade. Like the trees can communicate that, hey, I need some water from this mycelial network. The mycelial network needs some sugars, so I will withdraw sugars from my heartwood, and I will disperse it through the root systems into the mycelial network, through the philia, and they will in turn give me water.
That's intelligence.
It
on
is.
Whatever you want to call it, but that is intelligence. So yeah, absolutely. I think there's a lot to
John
be
says,
said
I
for that.
lost my internet. Could you guys repeat in the last 10 minutes? Yes. All you got to just grab that dial and scroll it back. We'll repeat it for you, and then you can catch up.
It's like magic. So we came back out onto that. Well, actually, we were coming back out because we were following that same signal, because the same signal was leading us down, suddenly starts to turn us around the curve. And now that it thinks, I guess our audio is dead, turns us around the curve, takes us back out into the driveway there where we had our stuff. And that's when Larry had the thermal, and
On it.
there was something over top of base camp. And what's really interesting about that is you saw me multiple times when we were setting it up. Now, we never got a 1.6 before at all.
No, it was while we were gone.
There was no 1.6. I got back and we had that little 1.6, little tiny one. I'm talking about that. I'm like, now we come back out of the woods. This thing's over camp. We got a 1.6, you know. And then all of a sudden, as I'm standing there talking about this, the biggest 1.6 spike, steady 1.6 spike, just pops up right there, just like someone said, now.
Yeah.
And we managed to catch that.
Now,
But
this is not, this video that I'm getting ready to show you is not the thermal footage, but this video is from directly over top where our base camp was set up. Now, you'll be able to hear
the little blue, yeah.
This was filmed directly over top of where base camp was 2 years prior to our arrival. Now, this is not fading in and out behind trees. This is directly overhead and open sky. This video didn't make it into the first shot. So this is some exclusive content. Pops in and out, fades in.
There it is.
And you can see that. Look at that down. It's almost like they're shooting something down.
Look, there it is again. Absolutely amazing. And it just looks so much like, you know, some of the video that we'll catch later on. And this has been sent to us now over the past couple of years from people who have seen these things that are very similar to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, what are they? I don't know. But
that's the $1 million question.
That's the $1 million question. Are we closer to figuring it out? No, we're not. We're just close enough to figure out that there may be some form of interaction that's taking place here.
Yeah.
And look familiar eyes. Yeah, Eyes have seen these things. That's right. That's right. I know what you're talking about now. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Beth, it does look a lot like
yes,
the ones you've sent us.
I know.
It's so eerily familiar.
Yeah. This site and Wineberry, as far as it goes with the orbs, or the CEOPS, you know, self-illuminated anomalous phenomena, is absolutely on par. Now,
it isn't it straight. There's no other phenomena really.
No.
Up there at this site, unlike Wineberry, where there seems to be just this hotbed of
A and B
high strangeness.
Well, there's A and B at Wineberry, yeah, but up there's really not. And you know, I will say this: there is something that happened. You guys who are over here are privy to it, you know. But there's something that happened while we were out there in the woods that I could not put in the video because I did not have permission, and you know, I didn't want to bug the witness any more than we already have. But if you watch the video here on our channel, you know that at the exact time that we're being led through the woods by this invisible signal, at 8:58 p.m. that August, there was a sighting in West Virginia in a graveyard of what seems to be, again, humanoid, non-human intelligence.
Yeah.
And this thing went viral. It hit coast to coast and just blew up overnight. If you haven't seen it, go watch that. No one can really explain it. They've tried. It's it's one of those situations you just can't. And one of the things that it's important to understand is before we put something on our channel, it's been seen by other researchers. It's been out there. It's been vetted out by other researchers. And I don't mean people who are interested in, UFOs and cryptids and whatnot. I mean people who have their life,
Yeah.
it has literally revolved around this. They write books. They're in documentaries. These are people who we trust and look up to. And when they look at us and say, "You got something," that's when we come over here and say, "Okay, here it is, guys. What do you think it is?" We never once say it's this or that. We just say this is something weird. You know, could it be? As Giorgio likes to say, and I know why he says it now, because we don't know. So yeah, could it be? I agree.
That's why the algorithm hates you.
I don't care.
Because we don't know.
Yeah, exactly.
We
don't know.
The algorithm wants you to know. The algorithm wants you to tell the people what it is, even though that it is not.
No, we can't. We can't. I cannot sit here and tell you that we know what this stuff is.
And we always tell you that if we begin to go in that direction where we're talking about possibilities, we preface it with weird. We need to speculate.
Try saying that again. You got all wobbly there.
Wobbly.
Yeah.
Anytime that we do go into that realm of the conversation, we always preface it with it is time to speculate.
Yeah.
And that what we're about to say is purely speculation. We're not trying to say that this is or is not what this thing is. This is just a possibility. We're speculating. We're spitballing, throwing darts at the wall.
Absolutely. Exactly what we do. And, so, you guys saw it. So if you have any other questions, let's get them dropped really quick.
Yep.
And let's see. At some point in the future here, we've got, speaking of Stan Gordon's going to be joining us at some point in the future here on, it'll be audio, of course. Stan doesn't do video. You want video, you gotta go to Pennsylvania.
We have to call Stan on his pager.
Yeah. He's got to be patched through. So that's just how it works with him. He's old school and he likes it that way. But it's always a good show with Stan. He gets to, talk about some of his research, what's been going on. We get to compare notes and see how we parallel with some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's kind of shocking at times, but that's what makes me understand that there's really a phenomenon taking place. It's not, easy to say what that phenomena is, only that it is a phenomena. And by definition, that means something is occurring in multiple places and being observed by multiple people. And it fits the same categories.
Yeah, it does.
The algorithm is us. There you go. No, right. It's true. What you just said.
For us, you guys are our algorithm.
No, that's a truth. And that's what it wants. And that's why, we are where we are, because everybody, basically how it works at this point is when we make these videos, it's about this. Well, those people who watched this week, if they tune in next week, it's like, oh, well, those people tuned in. So I'm going to share it out to a couple more people and see if we can get some more people to come in. And that's how it works. But it only works if the same people, return over and over again.
Trackway asks, was there a cell tower or a large oak tree nearby? No to both, actually.
That's one of the few places we've been that didn't have
cell tower
or high voltage power line.
Yeah, that's right. There weren't any high voltage power lines there either.
Yeah. That's right.
And there were no large oaks because this entire area had been clear cut maybe 30 years ago.
Yeah.
So the oldest trees in the area were like huggable.
Yeah, it looked like there was some old habitation areas there at some point that had been torn down, like some old houses or whatnot.
Yeah, there were some old houses that were back there, like back on the other ridge.
Mm-hmm. And you know, the interesting thing is, like Larry had said, that's not far from his camp, and he had seen,
Yeah.
you know, things there, dances. Thank you, thanks for being here.
Yeah, you're right.
Um,
Larry has had experiences less than 5 miles from that location.
yes, yes, and those were also balls of light, you know, that are floating around through the woods. So people are seeing these things. I don't, again, can't even tell you how many times a week I now get reports of people seeing these weird lights in the
Yeah,
woods,
they
but
flood the page.
it's real. It's very real.
Says I was wondering if EM fields from human infrastructure might make it easier for the phenomenon to be visible to us.
Good. Good thinking. Good thinking. Yeah, using that as a power source, so to speak.
Yeah,
Yeah, that is a theory, and that's
conduit.
why for you know, for years they tried to experiment with the you know, those EM pumps and whatnot, right?
Yeah,
So that's what they did. They pumped out high voltage or high EMF, you know, concentrations into areas, and trying to see if they'd affected the paranormal phenomena in those regions while those pumps were on.
Terry McCullough says I had a strange thing Tuesday night watching Hellbent Holler. Heard my front door open. My dog jumped up and then ran to the bedroom door to look. Got up. No one was there.
Oh, that was probably just Jesse.
I was going to say it might have just been Joe.
It's Jessie. She's probably just doing some astral projection
Jesse's looking
stuff.
for bones.
Pay no mind to her. Her spirit wanders and looks for bones. That's what it does.
The bone collector.
The bone collector. I swear. That girl's got some. Oh man, she's got a lot of bones.
Miss Trackway says, like similar to the ghost theory, battery drain, etc., to
Yeah,
muster the energy to manifest.
yeah, yeah. That's what it was used for exactly. And I you know, I mean, I've seen one. I know Hellbent has one. I saw Dewey made it for him, and that thing,
Yeah,
it's spooky.
yeah,
I saw it fired up back. Well, it was during the weird enough. It was back during the Wild and Weird Con, where we saw the.
Oh, you're talking about the EM pump that he made.
Yep,
Yeah, that thing was.
yep.
Yeah,
They fired that thing up right before we went out there, as I recall. Now that I think
yeah.
back about it, how odd that is. But when they did turn it on, I did watch the tri-field meter just go completely into red line. Um, they're pretty powerful. You can build them. I don't know what they'll all, you know, what all they'll do. I haven't built one, and I haven't built it for the simple fact of it's a lot of EMF, and EMF can affect things differently. Not just your brain, but it can affect things differently. And I don't want anything else blowing up. It's just that simple.
Beth has given me inspiration to write a parody song. Instead of night moves,
Yeah, I know. Love
the
the
night
orbs.
orbs.
Night orbs. Working on the
Night
night orbs.
orbs.
Yeah, working on the night
Night
orbs.
orbs.
Okay. Anyway,
Night orbs.
just don't do it. That's
It's happening.
don't
It's
do it.
happening. Found an old tube amp down
Don't
here.
do it. I don't care.
Have to.
Don't do it. Don't do this. Just don't do this.
Oh
So
man.
let's see if we made our. Did we make our goal? Let me see. I think we did. Maybe. Did we make it? Da, 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 da. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You guys never fail.
Never fail.
Never fail. I have seen some channels sit here and literally beg people to do what you guys just do with by doing it. It's amazing. You're incredible. You're, I don't know, probably some of the best people that you could ever have, as far as I'm concerned, when it comes to this stuff.
Funny enough, in England in the early 80s, there was even a cartoon called Will o' the Wisp
Ooh,
about this light in the woods. True story.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we're familiar with Will o' the Wisps.
yeah, yeah.
Tony opens can of worms. Do you think plasmoids and type B Bigfoot could be related? The Rome, Ohio Bigfoot encounter
Okay,
comes to mind.
okay. So the electric Bigfoot. Actually, while looking at some of this,
Yeah.
you know, that does come
It
into
does come up.
play, right?
We even talk about it at the table.
Yeah, and we can't say 100% no, but we can say that I don't think that that's a traditional Bigfoot. So I can say that as of right now.
Larry says, never give up, never surrender, exist out of spite.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Finding the Trackway says, I can't hear plasmoids and not think about the
Herculoids.
Oh, man.
The Herculoids. Oh, yeah. That was great.
I'd really love for Super 7 to get a hold of that license and come out with like some Super 7 Ultimate Herculoids. That'd be great.
Yeah, it would be pretty awesome. So, guys, what are your thoughts? Plasmoids, Beyond the Horizon, this last episode, Paranormal Horizons, us getting chased by invisible microwave radiation UAP things. Yeah, that whole thing. What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts? Let's get your final thoughts in.
Let's get them.
And let's figure out what next week's going to be.
Next week's going to be warmer. I know that.
Well, I mean, as far as our show goes. Squatch Holler. I think
y'all asked. And there's activity out there.
And they're showing. No, I think that's what she's saying happened. I think we asked for it, basically.
Okay.
Kind of like we did there, and it happened. Yeah.
Beth says, I just want to get boots on the ground, not snow.
Yeah, right. It's not snow boots.
Oz says the rabbit hole is deep. Scott Holbrook, furthering the cause. Scott, we love you,
multiple blessings.
Gonna get this thing going. Thank you, awesome. Scott. Man, we really appreciate it, especially right now. we're trying to figure this whole computer thing out. Hopefully,
well, you know,
guys are carrying it. You guys,
it comes down to it right now. We're just going to go buy a new one because you guys are wonderful. So thank you so much. But there's a lot of work to do, as someone once told me. We have you had your brain scan since your encounter, asking for no particular reason, no need for alarm. No, but I have found out that sometimes if I enter a room, the light will come on and go off. Have you had that happen, Joe?
Blinking. I've just had the lights flicker.
Okay, just wondering.
Just in the room that I'm in, not the rest.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I'm just wondering.
Larry Ho says, I left with more questions needing further investigation. Oh, yeah. 100%.
Always. It's always like that. This is it's like paranormal graphitic propulsion. It propels us down the rabbit hole faster than we could possibly think.
Mark said, I sent Ron a picture of physical rendition of invisible movement using color, temperature, and natural movement as you guys use your electronic apparatuses.
Sweet.
We'll have to go check that out.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
There's definitely an intelligent force eons ahead of us that has always been there. It's watching us for sure.
Well, that's what we're kind of bouncing around here at this point. That's where the data's pointing.
Never been. Hello.
Yeah, that's right.
Can you believe we actually got him to say that?
I can't believe we got him to say that. But we did. We did that for you guys.
Oh man, Anita said, "What all do you guys need to have spare monitor?"
No,
we're good on monitors and stuff.
This is much bigger. Yeah, just don't concern yourself.
Yeah,
we'll take care of that.
Benito Bay, I got an aluminum cap. There we go. Someone's got some caps here.
Okay. Benito Bay, welcome.
Fallout fan, Benito Bay. Thanks for stopping by.
Aluminum.
Give us a like and subscribe.
If it's a Nuka-Cola cap, we'll take it.
It is. Any kind of cap will take it.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to actually take caps as currency?
I found some. I found a box of those caps.
I found a box with 3 caps in it here down in
Did
the
you?
basement not too
The
long ago.
RTDS caps?
Yeah, the RTD, the red
Yep.
RTDS cap.
Yes. Yes.
Larry said my lights also flicker now.
You're welcome.
John said I'm pretty intrigued by the plasmoid theories. I might have to take a deep dive into it. Do it, John.
Yeah,
You'll
do it,
enjoy it.
John.
It's a
And
great read.
I'm not selling it as the truth to anything, by the way. Neither one of us are. We're just throwing it on the table and saying, look, we got to look at this because that's weird. It kind of works.
Beth.
What?
I gave myself a black eye with my drone. So, something was telling me I was getting too close. Something. The drone.
Yeah. Let's not do that.
LR said Joe's mic may be funky tonight because of the radiation.
Well, I mean, he is radioactive.
At this point, I
Radioactive.
don't doubt it.
It's like I can't help but look at him sometimes in the field.
Watching me.
I think in the field sometimes I'm just hearing Imagine Dragons radioactive when he walks out there. I can hear it starting in my head as soon as he walks out. It's like, yep, that's it. That's it. It's like, I wonder if he's going to come back.
Right?
If something happens, get it on camera. That's exactly what's going through my head.
On the subject of the house lights flickering, how many psychiatrists does it take to change a light bulb? 1, but the light bulb has to want to change.
Wah, wah, wah.
Look at you.
That was good. That was good. That was good.
Oh, good.
Man, you guys, awesome. Please make sure that you have liked, shared, subscribed, all that stuff. And if you haven't seen it, but most of you have, go over and check out Paranormal Horizons. Watch the whole series if you haven't seen it. It'll answer a lot of your questions. Some of the questions that are getting asked over there, you can clearly tell these folks it was their first episode they've ever seen. They have no idea who we are. I don't expect them to, again, because we don't go out and yell from the mountains, look at us. We just simply put it up here. And yeah, exactly. Yeah, do our thing. And the rest of you guys who are interested in it, you make a difference, and that's what it's for. It's not for anything else other than that.
Benito Bay says, I wonder if time affects aliens in the same way it affects us.
Interesting.
That's a good theory. It's fun to think about that. I think we've actually talked about that many moons ago, because it would definitely almost apply as a negative if they were extraterrestrial. Now, extra-dimensional, time, space doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah, when we get into that, it's, man.
Yeah.
Gets a little wibbly wobbly.
Oh, man. Well, guys, thanks for hanging out with us tonight. It has been a really fun show. We are beyond the 2-hour mark, and it is time to get this show wrapped up. Thank you guys, every single one of you who's donated to the show to keep this thing rolling. The last few weeks, we're putting every penny of that towards repairs. You guys are absolutely...
We're giving her all she's got.
Yeah, we're giving her all she got, Captain.
Something I swear I told him when he gets everything up and running, we're going to get him a chief engineer badge. like an old, the original series, the TOS chief engineer badge. He's getting one. Yeah.
Good deal. But yeah, it's going to be, it'll be a minute, but we're getting her taken care of. Pat is hard at work, and, so thank you guys for everything. Thank you guys for the support. Thanks for going and watching Paranormal Horizons. We really appreciate it. Thanks for subscribing here to the channel and supporting us this way. It's, we're free. You guys keep it free. You keep things from behind paywalls because you are awesome, and you help us build ridiculous equipment and maintain other ridiculousness.
Squash Holler nailed it.
Bam.
Boom. There you go. Good job.
Got it. Good job, Beth.
We'll make sure we actually pull that game out next week for you guys.
Oh yeah, we'll play a few rounds next week.
Yeah, because it won't be as breakneck as this episode had to be.
We had to cram a lot into this.
Yeah, sorry about that. Sometimes we got to get a little.
Expecting this episode tonight. We were expecting it to be plasmoids, not plasmoids beyond the horizon.
But it's all good. We made it happen because that's what we do.
It is
for you.
Exactly. You wanted the best, we gave you the best. That's how we do. So, Guys, thank you all again. If you've had a sighting or if you've had some strange experience and you want to get a hold of us, you can reach us at wildandweirdwv@gmail.com, or you can go to our website. If you go to the website, wildandweirdwv.com, you can click on the report a sighting list and it will ask you a little questionnaire. You can fill out all of the data points there. It'll email that over to us, at which point we will receive it, review it, and get back in touch with you. If you want to support us, we've got a t-shirt shop over on TeePublic. Go check that bad boy out. It's the Art of Ron, or you can look up Wild and Weird WV t-shirt and it'll bring you to one. You can just go through the whole library there at that point.
It's on a website too. You can just click on there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. There's a link. It's wildandweirdwv.com. Click on the shops tab and it'll take you to all of the links to our shops. How about that? I haven't used that one in a long time.
I know.
So remember, chins are exclusive to humans. So if you have a chin, you're unique. If you don't have a chin, you might not be human. I don't know. Stay wild and weird, everybody.
I don't understand that.
Yes, play out.